Welcome back. We're talking about trade and the economy now, and Nigeria was among the fastest growing economies in the past decade with an annual growth rate of about 6.7%. Trade with a number of countries, including China and India, has shown an astronomical significant increase in the last couple of years, particularly with India. We see about 2.5% increase to $16.98 billion owing to large crude oil export. Well, we're talking about some of the issues with regards why domestic trade, we're talking about wholesale and retail trade, hasn't improved in the last couple of years. Joining me to talk about that is the Director of Membership and Trade Promotion at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dele Alimi. Dele, good morning, and thank you so much for coming in.
Good morning, Ari.
Well, let's focus on your specialty. Trade is, important to every economy, but we seem to emphasize so much on agriculture especially. Why is that?
Agriculture is a combination of production and trade. Production in terms of primary production of agricultural products. And of course, you find out that most farmers, most indigenous farmers are not actually experts in the area of selling what they produce. So they need the expert, that is the traders, quote and unquote, to come in, take their products and bring it to the market. So the trader is like the link between the farmer and the end users. So when you talk of agriculture now, it doesn't end with just producing. It also means getting it down to the public. And then, of course, it also means making it profitable for the farmer, because that's the only encouragement he has to continue to do it.
But then it also means having a very good value chain. And so,
Definitely.
So looking at the value chain, now the trade value chain, do we have an impressive one? There's been, issues and complaints, especially with the agriculture sector, the farmers, like you've rightly mentioned, having products and produce that they want to sell. And so there's a value chain that has to ensure that this gets to the end user, the consumer.
Yes.
But a lot of times, it
doesn't happen.
More often than not is wrought with a lot of complaints.
Yes, there are lots of complaints. Unfortunately, our country is, I would say, almost divided into two, the urban and the rural. And most agricultural activities go on in the rural areas. And you find out that the link between the rural and the urban, it's not there. We have a problem of transportation, and it starts with the infrastructure itself, the roads. The roads are not good enough, and because you transport agricultural product with heavy vehicles, lorries, trucks, and so on, the vehicles find it very hard to penetrate the rural areas to bring these goods to town. It has a bad effect on the farmer himself, because at the end of the day, he's not able to bring in his harvest into town. It has an effect on the traders, who spend so much more on getting the vehicles to bring the goods to town. And then, of course, it has an effect on the populace, who are not getting enough from the farm. So that is how bad the situation is. So, and apart from that, you also have the issue of the corruption on the roads, the harassment and by various arms of the public sector security forces. It goes down to even local government, all sorts of emblems and certificates and so on. So the process is so cumbersome that you find out that so many traders are discouraged, and the ones that continue to do it at such a rate that at the end of the day, by the time the product gets to the market, one, it's getting there late, you have a lot of spoilage on the way, and two, it's coming in at a very expensive rate, so the cost of food goes up. So that has been part of the problem of the link between agriculture and trade.
But then it also has affected how much trade contributes to the GDP.
Yeah.
Because, that's an important factor. Looking at what the NBS, breakdown of NBS data shows that various sectors contribute. Agriculture has the highest, contributing the highest to the GDP. The manufacturing sector, beg your pardon, is in such a high number as well, and followed by the services sector. Now, the trade, that aspect is supposed to be an integral part of what the GDP stands for, and it's not really very encouraging.
Yeah, I think on the last count, I think they said it's like 13%, so 12 point something. But between you and I, we could do much better. We have not paid enough attention to the quantum contribution that trade can have to the improvement of the economy and, of course, the GDP. because you find out that all these other sectors you've mentioned, trade contributes to, because I mean, for a manufacturer, I'm not saying manufacturers cannot actually engage in trading, but there's this far they can go. So you find out that there is supposed to be a link between the manufacturer and the end user. You know, our normal economics 101, the wholesaler, the retailer, the distributor, and all this. Everybody has a role to play. And unless this important segment of the value chain play the role properly, and they are given the incentive to play the roles properly, both the manufacturer and the end user will suffer, because the link is not there. You know, a chain is as strong as its weakest link. Once the link is not there, the other hands will suffer. But
then let's take a look at domestic trade. You already mentioned it. How much does wholesale and retail trade contribute to our economy in numerical terms?
Well, in numerical terms, you see, when you have a GDP, we know how much, and the NBS has said is 13% of GDP. That is quite high. But between you and I, with the country and the contribution and the population we have, we could do much better. Because this is a sector that can contribute much more to employment because of the nature. And because of its short-term nature in circulation of funds also, that sector can also be a veritable source of money for the economy. Free. In terms of taxation, because government has not really, in terms of revenue, government has not really paid attention to that sector. It is seriously undertaxed, and government is not getting what it could get from that sector.
Well, so this latest drive now to boost revenue through collecting of taxes, do you think that will improve that as well?
Well, it will, but of course, it's not just about trying to get money from that system. You must also invest in that system to make sure you can get it. It's not about just going there and be taxing them, because if you continue to do that, if you are not careful, you kill it. So then you must also now contribute meaningfully to making sure the sector also develops, to ensure that it can contribute meaningfully to the tax system.
So what are those key challenges to domestic trade?
Well, basically, the first one I would say is facilities in terms of infrastructure. Because to be able to trade properly, you must be able to move very well, and that is transportation. Because trading is basically moving of goods from one part of the country to the other. You know, there must be that linkage. What you produce in the south should be able to go to the north. What you produce in the north should be able to come to the south, and vice. You know, so there must be that link. Then we have the issue of security. I'm not sure so much trading is going on in the northeast at the moment because of the situation on ground. And of course, also, even in the south, when you have cases of kidnap and robbery, and everybody is being extremely careful about what you do and when you do it. The other issue is also the fund. The fund you need for trading, it's basically short term. I'm not sure the issue with them will be the cost of fund, but it's actually the fund being available for them to use. Immediately, I remember when I was discussing with somebody, he said that's what microfinance banks are.
Microfinance banks does it. The Bank of Industry also does it.
Exactly. That is what they're supposed to do. But I am not sure we're paid enough attention. If you look at all the intervention funds and everything we've been having, nobody has been talking about that sector. Nobody has been talking about trading. We keep talking about the rail sector, agriculture, talk about manufacturing, but nobody is thinking about that major link that will ensure there is increase in demand, because they are the one that will engender the supply. So once the supply to the market and the market laps it up, the demand increase and the manufacturer can continue producing, as well as the farmer too. So that is very important that we do.